Let's be real for a second. How many of us actually grew up learning about building wealth? For most millennials and Gen Z, the answer is probably a big fat never. Instead, we got lectures about saving for a rainy day and warnings not to waste money on Starbucks. Meanwhile, student loans, rising rent prices, and stagnant wages hit us like a freight train the moment we became adults. Sound familiar? Here's a wild fact. 2/3 of millennials regret how much student debt they took on. And a survey showed that more than 40% of Gen Z don't even understand how their credit score is calculated. The financial system isn't just complicated. It's practically designed to keep people in the dark. But here's the thing. Our generation has something special. We're not just blindly accepting the financial systems we inherited. We're asking questions, Googling everything from how to invest $100 to what the heck is a Roth IRA, and side hustling like pros. We've learned the hard way how the financial system works. And now we're starting to think about the future, how we can set up our kids, siblings, nieces, nephews, or even just our future selves for something better. And here's the good news. You don't have to be a millionaire to set your kids up for financial success. You just need a plan, and I'm here to give you one. If you're interested, stick around as we uncover the top 5 things that will help you set your kids up for financial success, no matter your current situation. These strategies are simple, actionable, and designed to make a lasting impact. 1. Building your kids' credit before they're 18. Have you ever been hit with a ridiculously high interest rate or denied a loan because your credit history was too short? I'm pretty sure most of us have. I remember when I applied for my first car loan, I hadn't missed a single payment on anything, but my credit score was pretty mid because I was only 20. It felt like I was being punished for being young, even though I was doing everything right. Here's a mind-blowing fact. A low credit score can cost you over $250,000 in extra interest over your lifetime. That's like buying a house you'll never live in. But what if I told you that your kids never have to go through that? Here's the hack. Add your kids as authorized users on your credit card. Sounds simple, right? That's because it is. Most credit card companies allow you to add minors as authorized users. And no, you don't actually have to give them the card. You can keep it in a safe place, or better yet, cut it up entirely. Here's how it works. Let's say you've had a credit card for 10 years. You've made your payments on time, kept your balances low, and built a strong credit history. When you add your kid as an authorized user, they inherit all of that history. By the time they turn 18, they'll already have a credit score in the high 700s or even 800s. That means no more begging for a cosigner to rent an apartment or getting stuck with high interest rates because of insufficient credit history. Now, a quick disclaimer. This only works if you're responsible with your credit. If you're missing payments or racking up a ton of debt, adding your kid won't magically fix that, and it might even hurt their credit. So before you do this, make sure you've got your credit habits in check in. All right, let's move on to something that gives most of us instant anxiety: the cost of education. 2. Using a 529 plan to save for education costs. Did you know that tuition fees have increased by over 200% since the 1980s, while wages haven't kept up? The average college graduate in the US leaves school with around $37,000 in debt. For some, it's way more than that. And let's not even get started on the rising costs of housing and living while you're in school. But what if your kids could graduate debt-free? Enter the 529 plan. If you haven't heard of this before, it's basically like a supercharged savings account for education. You contribute money, it grows tax-free, and you can withdraw it tax-free for qualified educational expenses. Think tuition, books, and even housing in some cases. Here's the best part. You don't need kids to start one. You can open a 529 plan today, name yourself as the beneficiary, and start saving. Once you have kids, you just transfer the account to their name. That means your money has more time to grow, and when it's time for them to go to school, they'll have a nice little cushion waiting for them. Let's break it down with some numbers. Say you're 25 and you start putting away $200 a month into a 529 plan. If it grows at an average rate of 7% by the time your kid turns 18, you'll have over $96,000 saved. That could cover a huge chunk of college costs, or all of it, depending on where they go. Here's another shocking fact. Families who save in 529 plans reduce their reliance on student loans by nearly 50%, and they're far less likely to dip into their retirement funds to cover college costs. And here's the cherry on top. If your kid doesn't end up needing all the money, maybe they get a scholarship or they decide to take a different path, You can roll up to $35,000 of that leftover money into their Roth IRA. That's a retirement account. And thanks to compound interest, that $35,000 could grow to over $1 million by the time they're ready to retire. 3. Starting retirement early with a custodial Roth IRA. Speaking of Roth IRAs, let's talk about how you can use one to give your kids a head start on retirement. I know. Retirement feels like a lifetime away, especially if you're still figuring out how to save for yourself. But hear me out. A custodial Roth IRA is a retirement account you can open for your child as long as they have earned income. That could be from babysitting, mowing lawns, or even modeling in your Instagram ads if you're a small business owner. Here's the jaw-dropping part. If your 15-year-old contributes just $3,000 a year for 5 years and then stops, that money can grow to over $236,000 by the time they're 65, even if they never put another penny in. This is the power of compound interest. Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. The earlier you start, the harder your money works for you. 4. Protecting assets with a trust fund. Now, let's tackle something that sounds super fancy, but is actually way more accessible than you think: trust funds. If you've watched shows like Succession, you probably think trust funds are just for billionaires. But they're actually a really smart way to protect and distribute your assets, no matter how much money you have. Here's a surprising stat. Without a trust, over 50% of estates lose value due to probate fees and taxes. A trust fund lets you set rules for how your money is used and keeps it safe from things like lawsuits or divorces. 5. Teaching financial literacy. But let's be real for a second. None of this matters if your kids don't know how to manage money. Financial literacy is the foundation of everything we've talked about today. Start small. Teach your kids how to budget, save for things they want, and understand the difference between needs and wants. Here's the kicker. A study found that kids who learn financial literacy before age 18 are 50% less likely to go into debt as adults. That's a statistic that can change entire generations. To sum it up, we covered 5 strategies to set your kids up for financial success. Building their credit before 18. Using a 529 plan. Starting a custodial Roth IRA. Creating a trust fund. And teaching financial literacy. These steps can break the cycle of financial insecurity and create generational wealth. And here's the best part. You don't need to be a millionaire to start. It's about being intentional, starting small, and staying consistent. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Which strategy are you most excited to try? Or share your own tips for setting kids up for success. Your advice might inspire someone else. If this video gave you value, like it, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Share this with someone who could benefit from it. They'll thank you later. Before you go, I have a challenge. Pick just one thing from this list and start it in the next 30 days. Whether it's opening a 529 plan or talking to your kids about money, commit to that first step. Then come back and tell me how it went. I'll be cheering you on. Until then, see you next time.